Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you are having an awesome day. We are in beautiful Knoxville, Tennessee for the launch of the new Volkswagen Jetta Gli. And our route today is none other than the Tail of the Dragon. If you guys haven't heard of the Tail of the Dragon, it's unofficially known as basically the best road in the entire US. It's 11 miles long and over 318 very, very tight technical turns. So we're gonna put this GLI to the serious test today. It's been over 2 years since I've been to the Tail of the Dragon. The last time I was in a 1,000 horsepower Nissan GTR. So definitely a different environment, but I'm excited to see, is this the sports sedan that Volkswagen claims that it is? All right, let's roll. GLI is absolutely everywhere. This is our test car for the day, and it is a manual. About 10 miles away from the Tail of the Dragon, and had to stop to check out this beautiful scenery. The views out here are amazing. What's also incredible is how good the surrounding roads are to the Tail of the Dragon as well. Although I am excited to drive that legendary road once again. The exciting part about the GLI is that it features the powertrain and performance of the GTI, but for $1,600 less. And it's also practical in a lot of ways compared to the GTI. Also, it's a quite good looking car. The front fascia differentiates itself from the standard Jetta in several ways. We've got these gorgeous razor sharp LED headlights that actually have some pretty intricate details within the headlamps. Honeycomb front fascia that looks gorgeous, as well as this red line that let onlookers know this car is actually meant to have fun. Let's go ahead and pop the hood. Regardless of what trim level you go for, under the hood of the 2019 GLI is a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder that makes 228 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque. But the really exciting part is the fact that while the 2018 Jetta did not come available with a manual transmission, this one has it as standard. So the engine is mated to 2 transmission options. We've got the standard 6-speed manual and a 7-speed dual clutch automatic known as the DSG. It's an $800 option. In my opinion, get the manual. It's more fun. The GLI has excellent stopping power thanks to the fact that it actually shares the disc brakes in the front off of the sportier Golf R. They're 13.4 inches up front. Now, something I learned yesterday was that this little insignia here is known as a Flitzer in German. It doesn't have an English equivalent, but I quite like that word. Overall, the side profile is quite nice. We've got a strut type front suspension and multi-link rear suspension. The other exciting part is that the car has an electronically controlled limited slip differential. Often a problem with the front wheel drive car is understeer. We're gonna put that to the test today on the Tail of the Dragon, but the electronically controlled differential can modulate the torque between the different 2 wheels to help pull it around the corner to limit understeer. And so far, it seems like it works quite well. Because the GLI has an extended wheelbase compared to the GTI, we have a ton of legroom in the back. Space is plentiful, headroom is awesome. You could spend a long time in the back of this, no problem at all. And the ride quality, as you'll see, is actually really awesome. Around back, we have LED tail lamps as well as this microscopic little spoiler to let you know that this is in fact the GLI and not the normal Jetta. We've got an attractive looking rear diffuser, and which is very abnormal for modern day cars nowadays, we have real exhaust tips. Split chrome dual exhaust, actually looks pretty sporty. Underneath here, in the trunk, we've got 14.1 cubic feet of storage space. It is incredibly deep, and you could take your whole family on a road trip in the GLI. All right, let's take it for a drive. A couple miles away from the Tail of the Dragon now, thought it'd be a perfect time to discuss some of the interior features of the GLI. So there's 3 different trim levels. Right now we are in the base trim, the GLI S, which starts at under $26,000. And for that price, you're getting a lot for the money. Standard 18-inch wheels, keyless entry, rain-sensing wipers, and some of the crash and safety technology in this car is really impressive for the price. We have automatic collision avoidance with automatic braking, so if a car is stopped in the middle of the road ahead of you, the car will sense that and slow itself down to prevent an accident. We've got blind spot monitoring. There's even a collision response system that, in the case of an accident, activates the hazards, unlocks the doors so you can more easily get out, and cuts off the fuel pump so that you don't have any fires. There's also a collision automatic braking system that, in the event of an accident, it'll apply the brakes to slow the car down to prevent any other collisions from happening. In the base car, we have these cloth seats, which actually are very, very comfortable. Although around turns, I could use a little bit more bolstering in the sides, but they come standard as heated. In the upgraded trims with leather seats, you can also get ventilation as well. In the standard car, we have a 6.5-inch infotainment display with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto as standard. You can mirror your phone when you plug it in and use all of your apps, things like Waze, which is really nice. The standard car comes with an analog speedo and tachometer, but you can actually upgrade in the upgraded trims to basically Volkswagen's version of Audi's virtual cockpit. It's a digital 10.25-inch screen that is fully customizable. Looks really nice. Overall, the interior is very nice. I love this leather wrap steering wheel with the red contrasted stitching. I'm not a huge fan of this kind of fake carbon fiber-esque trim, and we've got a couple of plastic bits, especially for this door handle, that feels a bit cheap, and this door panel as well. The rest of it, though, is upscale. The dash feels nice, it's soft to the touch, same with this panel up here. We've got lots of storage space, a nice place to put your phone here, as well as a USB port to charge it. We've got a large space in here for storage, super deep, which is really nice. Glove box is enormous, so that's functional as well. All right, let's take it out on the road. For $1,000 more than the standard car, we've got the 35th anniversary trim to celebrate the fact that the GLI came out in 1984. Some special visual cues for the 35th anniversary. Of course, there's badging. We've got new gray wheels with red accents around them that look better than the standard wheels on the GLI S. We've got a black roof as well as a black spoiler. But the most important part of the 35th anniversary edition is it's the only GLI that comes with adaptive suspension. So we've got dynamic chassis control that actually adapts to the car's environment, making it both more comfortable on commutes and have less body roll in the turns as well. Then for just above $29,000, we've got the top of the line Autobahn trim. That comes with the digital instrument cluster, looks a lot nicer than the standard cluster, as well as a panoramic sunroof. It's also got a 9-speaker Beats audio system and heated leather seats. In my opinion, that's the one to go for. Just arrived at the bottom of the tail of the Dragon. They let you know very clearly there are signs everywhere and stores. And check out how cool this metal dragon statue is. Gotta check this out over there because there is a tree filled with mangled car and motorcycle parts from crashed vehicles at the Dragon. Check this out, guys. The Tree of Shame, which is both incredibly cool and a scary reminder of how dangerous this road really is. In fact, in the driver's briefing, it says use extreme caution on the tail. Now it's time to push this car to its limits. In the S trim and Autobahn trim, we've got 4 different driving modes for the GLI, only one of which is relevant for this type of scenario, but let's run through the modes real quick before we start pushing this car hard. The mode selector is right down by the gear lever. We've got Eco mode that optimizes the throttle response as well as the air conditioning unit for maximum fuel economy. Obviously on the tail of the Dragon, not the mode that you would be in. Then of course we have normal mode, which gives you neutral steering as well as throttle response. Then there is sport mode. Sport mode tightens up the steering a little bit, heightens the throttle response significantly, and it also adds sound into the cabin. The difference is actually immense. When you're cruising around in normal mode or eco mode, you don't really hear the engine all that much. But if we switch it over to sport mode, let's flick a downshift. You can hear it much more intensely. Now for normal around town driving, I wouldn't recommend sport mode because it does have a little bit of drone into the cabin, but for a road like this, it's nice to hear that engine. For 228 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque, the GLI actually feels quite fast. It only weighs 3,300 pounds, so we don't have a ton of weight to push around. This, of course, is front-wheel drive, which traditionally with higher horsepower means you have to worry about torque steer. Accelerate the car from a standstill and it might yank the steering wheel to the left or to the right. But because we have Volkswagen's fancy VAQ electronic differential, it completely eliminates that, pulls the car through corners extraordinarily well. And it's funny, when you think of the tail of the dragon, a GLI isn't the first car that comes to mind in terms of something that'd be fun to drive on it, but it actually does exceptionally well here. And the level of power that it has is kind of perfect for this road. If we had a 400 horsepower car, the turns are so tight that you just couldn't use all of that power. But this, it feels at home. Now, we don't have the car with dynamic chassis control, so I will say, when you throw it through corners, there is a little bit of body roll, but not quite as much as you'd expect from a car that's really quite comfortable on normal commuting scenarios. Traction control works phenomenally well. You really don't feel understeer until the very, very limit of the car's mechanical grip, which actually is really high. The manual transmission is an absolute blast to use. It's my transmission of choice. A lot of times people say the DSG is the route to go, especially if you modify the car and you add more power. The DSG can handle that extra horsepower and torque more so than the manual transmission, but it's such an easy manual to use. The clutch throw is nice and reliable. It's an easy, light clutch pedal, especially if you're learning how to drive a manual or you're nervous about, oh, should I really get a manual daily driver car? The manual transmission in this GLI is very, very comfortable. The shift throws are a little bit longer than I'd like, but it's a pretty notchy gearbox. You really do feel that you're in gear when you shift. Steering feel is nice. There's not a lot of feedback in the wheel itself. You actually feel it more in the chassis of the car than you do in the actual steering wheel, but the turn-in is very quick. I'm impressed actually. This road is so awesome. There is a little bit of road noise penetrating into the cabin in terms of tire noise and wind noise, but overall it is pretty isolated and quiet in here. Oh, I'm having fun. Wow, the brakes are really good. The power band is very linear in the GLI. Coming out of corners, instantly it starts to pick up, pushes all the way to red line. It's not the best sounding engine in the world, I'll be honest, but it doesn't sound bad in the slightest. Now, obviously 99.99% of GLI owners aren't going to be taking their car on the tail of the dragon every day, although it is good to know that it is capable and fun to drive in such an extreme environment. So what's it like to drive on normal roads? Well, it's quite comfortable. At high speeds, it's nice and stable. The steering inputs are easy. It's just an easy to drive car. Visibility is fantastic all the way around. And if you were to miss something, of course, you've got blind spot monitoring to protect you. There is tons of headroom in the front of the GLI, plenty of shoulder room and leg room as well. The seating position is great in the GLI. The only complaint I have is the center tunnel area here by the transmission. It's actually pretty hard, the piece of plastic here by my right leg. So after about 600 turns, I've done the tail of the dragon twice at this point, my right knee has kind of banged up against the center of the console enough times to kind of get a little bit sore. But are you likely to be doing 600 turns in an hour in your GLI? Probably not. Pulled over to the side of the road to switch to the point of view camera because you can't drive the tail of the dragon and not show you guys exactly what it's like from the driver's seat. This road is absolutely spectacular. The turns, the bankings in the turns, the fluidity between them, and also the scenery at the same time, although you don't really want to be paying attention to what's around you other than just what's ahead of you on the road because it is quite dangerous. Look at these turns, unbelievable. Let's check out the infotainment system real quick. Go ahead and click setup there. Scroll down to ambient lighting. You can change it. Automatic changes depending upon what driver mode you're on, but if you switch it to manual, check out all the color options we've got. Unfortunately, you can't really see them because it's daytime, but in a car of this price range, not expecting to have 10 different ambient light colors, that is a pretty awesome feature. Go ahead and push the clutch in, engine start button. Got a nice standard backup camera. The graphics, not quite as good as I would like, but totally usable. All right, and off we go. Mode selection into sport mode. And on the Dragon we go. The acceleration is actually pretty impressive in the GLI, I gotta say. But what I'm most impressed with is that electronic differential. There is virtually no understeer, and the levels of grip this car has through these tight corners is actually pretty staggering. What a road. Check this out, guys. So I stopped over at the Tail of the Dragon start, and we've got a beautifully modified Volkswagen Beetle. Same motor as in the GLI, except we've got some awesome upgrades. Upgraded turbo, APR stage 2 tune. Look at that carbon fiber APR intake, making nearly 400 to the wheels. One of the best parts of the Tail of the Dragon, not only the amazing road, is also the people. Everyone here is a car, motorcycle, or bicycle enthusiast. Everyone is so nice. Turns out the guy who owns that Volkswagen Beetle also has a 2100 wheel horsepower GTR. Met some fans here as well. Oh, I love the Tail of the Dragon. Sitting here now in an Autobahn top of the line trim with the DSG automatic gearbox. As you can see, there is a panoramic sunroof. We've now got an 8-inch touchscreen instead of the 6.5, and we have the fully digital display. Let's go ahead and turn the car on. The graphics on this digital display look so much nicer than the analog tack and speedo on the base model car. You can customize what's on the screen by clicking the view button here. And the 8-inch infotainment screen is significantly nicer. The graphics are improved, as is the interface on the Autobahn car. Look at that, we've got performance gauges and much better graphics for the ambient lighting. You can actually get kind of a demo of what that would look like in the interior. Look at that, it also changes the color of the instrument cluster. I've never seen that in any other car, actually. We also get these nicer leather seats that are ventilated as well. At the lunch stop now, we can get a good look of the S compared to the 35th anniversary edition in terms of its exterior styling. So here we've got the S on the same wheels that I was driving, and then the 35th anniversary, we've got different dark gray wheels with red accents. We've got a black colored roof as well as this black spoiler. And while red does look good on the GLI, I like the way the red accents pop on cars that aren't colored red. That red stripe in the front as well as that flitzer on the side. Well, there you guys have it. First drive of the 2019 Volkswagen GLI at the tail of the Dragon. It handles way better than I was expecting, has virtually no understeer, is really comfortable, offers a lot of features for the money, and is a pretty darn good-looking sedan. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like always, please browse the channel and subscribe. I look forward to seeing you next video.